Welcome back, dearest listeners. Today we're bringing you another section of our in-person Duality Bites, recorded live in Chicago with me, Asteria, Carmela, and Katie. So please enjoy. Welcome back, dearest listeners. Today we're bringing you another section of our in-person Duality Bites, recorded live in Chicago with me, Asteria, Carmela, and Katie. So please enjoy. Welcome back, dearest listeners. Today we're bringing you another section of our in-person Duality Bites, recorded live in Chicago with me, Asteria, Carmela, and Katie. So please enjoy. I guess I'd just like to throw it to the two of you if you felt like there's been another big player decision that's really, or input that's changed or shaped things in this kind of way. Anything I'm missing?
I mean, we get a lot of, just because Evelyn being who Evelyn is and has all of the questions, we end up finding more about the world because of Evelyn. And that you have already a connection to a conjuries, even though we're from the other one. We learn more about how poetry works.
Shall we transition a little bit into world building and discovery?
Yeah.
Especially through things like knowledge checks. I know as a GM, especially in Daggerheart, knowledge checks are kind of a tricky thing to adjudicate. And so I think it'd be a good topic to talk about from all sides.
Yeah.
One of the tenets for GMs of Daggerheart is it discourages making players roll in a situation where failure wouldn't be interesting.
Yeah.
And I think knowledge checks or things like that is one of the areas where that feels weirdest, especially at least coming from D&D and things like that, because, you know, if you fail a knowledge check, usually it's not like anything bad happens, but
you just don't get as much information.
Yeah. But it does feel weird to never make you roll.
Yes.
Because there are crit on knowledge or analysis rolls sometimes, and I give you epiphanies.
Right.
And I imagine that's felt
There's
really exciting for you.
There's a comparable thing in Pathfinder First Edition where if something is a basic knowledge, who are the gods? What are their domains? You only need a 10 to get it, and you're adding your intelligence modifier, and you don't have to be trained in that particular knowledge skill. Pathfinder, of course, has like 17 fucking knowledge skills, and they're all separate and stuff. But then there is like specialized knowledge. The higher you roll, the more information you get about a thing, identifying creatures, all that stuff. So that's where I come from. And of course, I play this character that is comparable to the characters that I build in Pathfinder, but with much less specific avenues of figuring all that stuff out. And I appreciate coming into Daggerheart and being like, it's specialized knowledge. Of course, everybody took social studies, so we all know how the government works. We don't have to make knowledge local checks on it. We don't have to make a roll on it. I appreciate the hey, let's chill out on the knowledge checks. Like, so people just know things.
Yeah.
It's okay for them to know things. But I did build a character that was like, but I want to know all this special stuff. So these are the things I'm taking to figure that out.
Well, and you ask great questions about the world, like everyone does, that I think will be very helpful to the listener as well. In maybe the third episode, David asks just such a great... David is really good at asking questions that like clarify what I was just trying to show.
Like really intuitive.
So the other people don't see this, and I do. Like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, listening to it back was like, great. I didn't know if that was clear, and now you have just made it clear to everyone. And one of the things I love about the four of your characters each come from totally different settings in this world, and so you all share a basic knowledge, but would have totally different perspectives and niches. And so that's really helpful. And so sometimes I definitely do like everyone roll, but you would have advantage, or you would know this, or like Ginny, do you, or like Lemma, do you think you would have encountered this on the road, or and Evelyn is the one
The
who
academic.
read the
Read the most books.
yeah. So in a recent episode, I think the role was for, you got the cult sigils.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't remember what prompted that, but in episode 5, that was like the road research episode.
Yeah.
I got so distracted that you threw a battle at us, which
Wake up.
I mean, there's a collaboration right there, is that we had become so engrossed into trying to figure out the puzzle. You're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I also think that you're all very good at finding non-combat ways.
It is my goal in life.
Yeah, I have to ambush.
Why not with my characters? Yeah.
But I mean, you pulled on my ripcord. You threatened Soren. I was just
Yeah.
like, nope, absolutely not.
Yeah. You were like, she's standing right behind Sauron. I was like, oh, Ginny's not standing for this. I'm just going to put her to sleep. Maybe this will all be over.
Yeah.
She thought naively, not knowing that we're however many other.
Yeah.
That's right.
But even outside of specific checks, you're all very helpful to me in terms of the way you ask questions about how your characters would understand the world. That helps me explain that not just to you, but to the listener. And also, so much of the world has developed through me answering your questions.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen me have to think about an answer to your question and figure it out. And each of you has really helped develop your section of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn is from the much larger Conjuries. To those new to us, that's the school for poets, the magical
universities.
Yeah, or some of them, there are children there.
Academies.
It's weird.
Our academy is
The Xavier's School for the Gifted.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
That's the closest parallel.
I feel
I
like
think.
that's what Lark Song is.
Yeah.
And then Vespertine is like,
Cambridge.
yeah.
Yeah. Right.
No, Cambridge. No,
Cambridge.
Vespertine is Cambridge
Yeah.
and Lark Song is Xavier.
Let's look at Tanya being all snotty about the Vespertine. Whatever. I'll never get over that.
She's the one in the flannel and the Doc Martens
Yeah.
and the tight jeans.
Smoking in the alley.
Yeah, with the clove cigarette.
Yeah. Good callback.
Because we all were once.
Yes.
We all have an
We were all Cthulhu.
She said one thing about Vespertine being
I can't get over
uptight,
it. Yeah.
and Evelyn / Katie will never.
I'll never let you live it down. Even though Evelyn probably thinks you're right. Now that she's been
she
away
won't
for a
admit it.
year. She won't never admit it. It's like school pride. Hometown pride.
I feel like I'm losing the plot a little.
It's okay.
We'll find it again. The Daggerheart way.
Yeah.
I think what is really cool is that you set up this world and let us define our corner of it and then share it with everyone else. And there's just been this exponential building upon those things as we go to Boreas, where Orlean is from, as we go to places where we seek out things. And in flashbacks, which I don't know if we've had any yet, but they're coming up, like it all feels very informed and organic. Like it just blossomed from these 4 little seeds. And that we're nurturing in the soil of what you had given us, and it's now this like huge topiary.
Yeah, because we get if you want a specific example that's coming up, we get a really good look at the politics of the nobility through Lemma, who is essentially a nomad who doesn't belong anywhere. Like I'm from this place, but we learn all about the politics of the Vermeers through him. And I don't know how much of that was you or how much of that was him or how much that happened in that moment.
I think most of that was me
Okay.
in concert with him. But I think the specifics of that NPC's background was mostly from me. Like his relationship to the NPC was him.
Yeah. But
But
but that's a collaboration
who that
right
was,
there.
yeah.
Like, okay, I have this person. This is who I'm connected to. This is who they were. And then you fit them into the world and then build the world around that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes it feel like it actually belongs there.
Yeah.
Instead of just being a free floating, here I am. Here's this person that I saved.
And it was a really good puzzle because he gave me, I'm trying to remember, because he did give me like some of why Lemma, like what Lemma's motivation was, and I like filled in some of the pieces of other NPCs' motivation. We'll have to do a whole thing on the Vermeers.
Yeah.
Welcome back, dearest listeners. Today we're bringing you another section of our in-person Duality Bites, recorded live in Chicago with me, Asteria, Carmela, and Katie. So please enjoy. And it was very tricky for me doing nobility. Like I kind of wanted, it's tricky building a world that's a monarchy and not wanting to get too into real world politics.
Right.
Like monarchies are bad in real life. I'm not saying with this game that they're good, but I also don't want it to be about that. I feel like that is kind of territory that other people have covered better.
Yeah.
And not what we're here for.
But it does give a lived in world feeling.
Yeah.
Because those regardless of your setting, those kinds of relationships in politics exist. I mean, it doesn't have to be specifically like this is the British Empire kind of deal.
Exactly.
It's those things exist. You can place them in your own head and it still makes the world feel lived in.
And I also think there's an opportunity there, wherever the future of this campaign goes, to explore the relationship between poets and nobility, because power is different in those circles. And in a world where there are a handful of people who dream and a vast majority who don't, how much power does nobility have that we normally think that they would have?
If we can see things in the world other people can't, then we have
a very different kind of power that is not money.
And actually, let me talk a little bit about the idea of the Vermeers, because that was an important part of my larger world building, is thinking about in questions I expected you all to have about what is this world like that we're living in, and trying to tell you what is the feel of this world other than like our touchstones. So if there are two sort of arch-fey, immortal, benevolent queens who run this world, what does that mean? And you've had questions about how omniscient they are. And I wanted them to feel like they do have power and care, like they're not kind of the great and powerful Oz exactly. But I didn't want it to feel like you can't do anything without them knowing. They're controlling everything. And I didn't want them to feel like tyrants.
Right.
Mortals need to have some control over their own local affairs, And so how do mortals do that? Well, it's going to vary across the land because this isn't too centralized. So I was hoping to create a feel of like nobility has popped up and
to govern.
Yeah.
And that
Cornspen is ruled by quote unquote, by a council of elders.
Yeah. And Whitmore, which is where the Vermeers are, I don't want to fill in the details yet, but it's, you've got Boreas, which is the seat of a queen. So that's pretty, the feel of that is pretty obvious. And Whitmore's just kind of on a lake, and
Queen is near it,
Yeah, but it's not obvious who would govern it. And I have a little bit of history prepped for that.
Whenever it comes out.
Yeah. Whenever we actually eventually
finally make it to
my
my...
But
spoiler.
that there's a family, what is nobility? At some point, someone called the nobility.
Right.
And so it immediately gives you a practical sense. And also, in terms of me originally setting up what the tropes are for this world, I was like, there's got to be a sexy evil baroness. There's nobility there have to be like lesser villains. And nobility is great for them. Spoiler alert.
Sure, especially in this world where power is challenged by something they can't control.
Yeah, and there just have to be levels of power.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want it to be just all like flat and then there's a queen.
Yeah.
And there needs to be room for ambiguity and confusion amongst who's in charge of what and whose territory is whose.
Right?
And I think bringing in the Shadow Jacks at the same time I was mentioning their Vermeers, hopefully, and I think J-Ben said something about that at the time, that he was really surprised when the Shadow Jacks were introduced, that they, not just because they ambushed you, but that was part of this world.
Yeah.
That like he wasn't expecting this kind of character to be part of this world. I'm realizing now what a big shift in storytelling. Like, this is a second arc. You know, the Carmela arc is so insular, and it's really just about the four of you. And then you go out into the world.
Yeah.
And episode 6 introduces a bunch of important NPCs. We've got Kiva, who's teased at the end of 5, but we've got Kiva, Lorelei, Tristan. We properly meet the Lord of... Well, he doesn't say his name. I was like, I thought he said his name.
The ferryman.
The ferryman.
Yeah.
And we learn... No, we don't learn about Soren.
There's a joke I cut out of this episode that's going to come out, episode 6, where Tristan and Soren are talking to each other.
I hate that scene. I hate acting with myself.
You like talking to yourself?
Yeah. And they're like, Tristan, what are you doing here? And I go, Dad? Like, I haven't done that. I cut it out because I was like, no, it's too distracting. I had to cut.
But I deserved it.
Yeah. Again, I'm like, I have to make jokes or I'll die. I'm like, Dad? I'm like, no, this is not Tristan's dad. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I deserved it. And I think there was a point where the Shadowjack camp went through so many possibilities in my mind before we got there. And then by the time this season was supposed to be 6 episodes.
Yeah, right. Let's never forget that.
You're like, hey, do you...
Here's what was interesting to me about the Shadowjacks.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Evelyn, from the moment they left the Conjuries, had a lot of questions. Some I voiced and some I didn't bother, about how other poets operate in the world. I mean, the idea that I had was that they were placed in towns like counselors, or like every town or community had its own poet to solve problems or help people or whatever. And then we get out in the world, and the first poet we meet is kind of useless. We find out why later. But and then we go on the road, and here's all these poets in the wild, these like hedge wizards who can do shit, and they're ungoverned, and no one told them to be here. And to her, that was very shocking.
Right.
But of course, it makes perfect sense that not everybody who is a poet is going to be regulated by a conjuries or be told what to do or whatever.
Yeah.
And her purview is like, well, I'm just going to go out and do whatever I have to do so I can go back and teach other people to be poets. That's what she always imagined. So I love when the Shadowjacks came and kind of blew up Evelyn's idea of poetry in the world, who runs things, who's in charge. Oh, wait, people can just do whatever they want to do and nobody told them to do this. That's frightening. How did they learn this? All that was really, it exploded things for Evelyn and for me a little bit in ways that were unanticipated.
Well, and you're really good at asking me questions that make me kind of drill down on... Like, there's a balance on me not wanting to define the magic too much, not wanting to make it science.
Right.
But still wanting to make it clear.
Yeah.
And how it operates. And we have to cut a lot of my answers. Sometimes we have to trim them down because it's me
figuring
thinking aloud for 3 paragraphs.
Yeah. But that's the game we decided to play and how we decided to play it. I think that's what it is.
This last episode,
there is no book that you can look this up in.
I swore I said something. Maybe you cut it before it even got to me because my answer was so long. But there's sort of maybe it's just I wish I'd said. You kind of like asked me. Basically, you asked me like, are there magic cops? And I kind of should have just said, well, you are the magic.
Right.
Like that's what I was like, are we the bad guy?
Yeah. Like and I didn't realize that until it's like, yeah, you got like.
Evelyn would never have looked at it that way before.
But I didn't say that because you were also asking, is this a magic? But the answer was, this isn't an official magic. It's crime and it's magic, but it's not a magic crime. It's not a crime against magic.
Yeah.
The way you're asking.
Yeah.
I'm doing gestures.
We did not have a responsibility to take those Shadowjacks into the Conjuring.
Yeah. Like, she's definitely not supposed to be holding a knife to someone's throat and saying, give me all your money.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's using a specific kind of poetry to do it is not.
It's not the crime.
It's not the
crime.
Yeah. It's the crime.
It's not like
it's the robbery.
She is doing the crime.
It's not like if she were
enhanced by magic.
Yeah, it's not like if she were doing using a different school of poetry.
Right, that would be okay.
That would be okay. Yeah.
Which was so interesting to Evelyn because she was just like, oh, there's another domain I don't know. Well, how can I learn that? That was
Well, and that's the thing. I think that would have been easier for Evelyn if it had been like, this is the forbidden.
Right.
This is the forbidden poetry.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, good. This is defined and like identified. But
The world's not like that.
But it's not like that.
and that's part of why it takes me 3 paragraphs to answer 7 for questions, is because your characters are living in a world where you're studying this official power that you actually don't have well defined.
Yes.
For.
And what your characters are learning is that, there's a little bit of fish don't know they're wet.
Yeah.
And you're learning that the queens know more. Like, the queens could have told you more.
Yeah.
And it's not clear to you if your teachers, your primers, do or don't know more.
Yeah.
It's
are
not
they complicit, or are they
or-
just as ignorant as we are?
and which is better.
Yeah.
Both are terrifying.
And that's my favorite Arthur C. Clarke quote is we're either alone in the universe or we're not, and both are equally terrified.
I actually didn't know that one. That's
That's
Yeah.
my favorite quote.
That's great.
That applies perfectly.
So last topic, between the 3 of us, we've got a lot of tabletop role-playing game experience with a bunch of different systems.
Yeah.
And kind of just love Daggerheart impressions.
Yeah.
One of the things the system is really setting out to do is support from the ground up storytelling, and especially collaborative storytelling. And we all know that you can use just about any system how you want. If
Right.
you're, you can fold and bend things. But how do you... Yeah, and a reminder to the listeners that we used the playtest rules for all of season 1. I mean, we've only just cracked the official system, but
Change is forthcoming.
Yeah. There will be different.
Will be consequences.
There will
but
be.
just would love impressions.
So I do like. I mean, I've played Pathfinder. I've played D&D. I've played Vampire the Masquerade. Just different systems, and especially Pathfinder and D&D is very. God, especially Pathfinder. There's a lot of regiment to it, in that here's your abilities, here's what you can do, and there's a lot of crunch to it. Which there's a time and place for crunch. I love crunch. Crunch is fun. But sometimes you just want to tell a story. And World of Darkness is really good for that. So like Vampire, Mage, all that stuff. And Daggerheart, I think, finds an interesting... It's more freeform in that you don't roll initiative. So we can come in and out. And I like that fluidity and flexibility. There are sometimes I miss the railings of this is when combat ends kind of deal. But I do appreciate what Daggerheart is doing, in that here's the framework. Go have fun. Go make this your own. And I think of the systems I have played, it is definitely one of the better ones that allow for that flexibility. And I enjoy that very much, because sometimes I've said this before. Sometimes you want the whole power fantasy and be a demigod and roll 87 damage in one hit. But sometimes you just want to have feels with your friends. And Daggerheart is great for that. So.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. For me, it boils down to 2 things: experience at the table and understanding the system enough to be comfortable and live in it. Daggerheart's super easy to get comfortable and live in it, except when it comes to combat, of course, because we're all used to very crunchy, like you said, systems where you're rolling for everything. And there's an action economy that is very regimented.
Right.
The action economy of combat in Daggerheart is more fluid. It's designed that way. It is meant to be story forward. To me, this is just a mental shift, not a flaw
No, that's
or
not a
anything.
flaw.
It's just it's built into the design. And for me, it's like, get out of that mode that everything changes when you're in combat. Like, it doesn't. You're still talking about why you want to do this and what you intend to do, and we're taking turns, and things are it's still the story forward. And the other thing is that the most important thing to me about Daggerheart is the experience at the table. I spend most of my time playing Pathfinder First Edition. I played every edition of D&D. I played Dungeon World. I played all the Powered by the Apocalypse games. I played Monster Hearts. I played a bunch of more rules light things. And what I always feel playing all of those more rules light games is that more freedom at the table to simply listen and respond. The less time we're spent looking up rules, how does grappling work? Like if I ever have to look up, I never play martial characters in Pathfinder because I can't fucking stand combat maneuvers and stuff. Like, and so much stuff that just gets everything stops so we can make sure we're doing it right. Love Pathfinder. I'm not knocking it, but there are times when it's just burdensome at the table and you lose the momentum and thread of the story or the relationships that are happening in the game. Daggerheart. More like dagger fart. Daggerheart allows you to put the books away, put the character sheet away, and just talk to each other and play the game and tell a story that way, which I'm always going to love.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so much about our experience in session has just been looking each other in the face.
Yeah.
And that's where the game has happened.
Or the memes that J-Ben is putting in the chat window.
Yes. Well, and
it's usually between J-Ben and I of who's faster.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not doing, because when we're players in someone else's campaign, I get so mad at him because he's so fast. I'm like, oh,
He is super fast. He has that stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
But he always picks the one that makes me giggle for like
Yeah.
25 minutes.
And what I will say about combat is, listening back, I have to remind myself that not only are we doing playtest rules,
Yeah.
we're doing some patchwork playtest rules, because we were playing the 1.5, the final playtest rules, after they'd announced they were getting rid of Action Tracker, which I was very happy about, but they hadn't released what the new combat rules would be. And so I was very much like, I was on the subreddit, and people were talking about how if you just stopped playing with it, then the balance wasn't quite right with the adversaries, and people were... So I was listening to this last combat being like, why am I spending so much fear? And I remembered it was because in the subreddit, people were recommending spending double fear if you weren't using the action tracker, like 2 fear per adversary, because the adversary costs hadn't been adjusted.
boy.
You know, it was like 2, because it had been 2 fear. You spend 2 fear to get an action token.
Right.
If you hadn't. And so I was doing that. And I was also like, how do I have so much fear? Like, why am I spending so much, and how do I have so much? And I'd kind of been hoarding it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that clip from the previous episode that I put in all the trailers. It was like, Asteria, can I ask how much fear you have? A lot. A lot. And I did.
And then we were like, what is the max fear you can have? We were like really trying to get this out.
Which is 12.
Yeah.
And how bad is this gonna get? Spends all 12 at once.
And then one round.
And now just knowing more about combat.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have to recommend listening to Dodo Born
Oh yeah.
for various reasons. And their first season is also playtest rules, but they were very clear and precise about combat economy. Now I know a lot
Pistachio.
more. Yeah, well,
Pistachio.
has my spouse David said, if Pistachio has no fans, the whole world is dead. Not Orlean David, but a different
Spouse David.
Yeah, as we call him. But I'm just it's a lot clearer now when, I mean, I think it evened out in what we did last season, but it's a lot, there are rules.
Yeah.
Like there is order.
I mean, yes, there is, but it's not as clear to the player.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear to the GM of how you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But for us, it's just like, oh, okay, now we're fighting, and there's no, like in D&D,
Without
you roll
initiative. Yeah, it's hard.
and then okay, now you're out of combat.
Yeah.
And so now,
Well,
we're also very polite.
Yeah.
No, you go. No, you. No.
well,
you
the
go.
ambiguity
Somebody
being
go.
out of combat, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
is specific to us.
yeah,
Like there was the time where I just said, I think you guys have done really
Good
well,
job.
and I'm just gonna
yeah, like
call it. And then there was the time where you spent a lot of the combat just being like, please, please surrender. And then finally I was like, okay. Well, and I was just
They're
rolling
not going to
so
surrender.
badly, and then barely on,
yeah.
and then
When I accidentally killed somebody.
yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, also you just don't like killing.
My first
Like,
utility I took was sleep on purpose.
It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I'm just like, oh, I'm an 18-year-old kid and I've only killed monsters and wolves. You just made me kill a person
And
by slamming into them.
My whole goal in life.
Yeah.
Not fighting. constantly in groups. This is the only group I play in where I'm not battling like 3 other people who just want to fight every fight. And I'm the one who's being like, we don't have to fight. And they're like, but we could.
Well, it's very wise to not fight every fight. Okay. I love you guys.
Me too.
I love you guys
It's tough out there
too.
for Hag sometimes. And see you guys at J-Bound's house.
The ensemble retreat is at your place this year. Please provide snacks.
Great.
Okay. It's decided.
That's 3 against
Put
0.
it in pen.
Yeah. The
And
boys should have shown up for the
should've
vote.
said
I'd say, yeah.
I think we have a majority and a quorum. So,
Hag Court is adjourned.
Hag Court is adjourned.
Thank you for listening to Duality Bites, a production of Hagdeal Gaming. If you like what we're doing here, come say hi on Blue Sky or TikTok at Hagdeal Gaming. Leave us a review. We'd love to know what you think. And remember, as a wise person once said, I feel like I'm losing the plot a little. Welcome back, dearest listeners. Today we're bringing you another section of our in-person Duality Bites, recorded live in Chicago with me, Asteria, Carmela, and Katie. So please enjoy.